Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I own a valuation company in St. Louis, Missouri. I have the privilege of discussing nonprofit organizations, accounting, strategic planning, and management today with Tosha Anderson, a CPA and nonprofit accounting expert in St. Louis, Missouri. In general, even tech savvy, even business savvy people kind of always default to like how it's been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how it's always been done. We send out these pretty little invoices in the actual mail and as opposed to using something that's online that sends automated updates, that requests the information, that it pays online, goes directly, those types of things I think are just the default for most. But once you get past the accounting, do you also get involved in the strategic planning for these nonprofit organizations, or do you work with management to advance any of their leadership skills? Is that something, I would imagine you kind of get pulled into in some capacity, because a lot of accounting firms also do some management consulting. So is this an area you get involved in?
Yeah, it's not one that I publicly advertise in a sense of we don't do one-off consulting work, but for our existing clients, I structured my firm a little bit differently in the sense that all of my clients, whether they like it or not, are getting kind of a CFO service, right? We're going to share our opinions and our thoughts and our recommendations and observations, regardless if you thought you were just hiring a bookkeeper. That kind of comes by default. So oftentimes we'll get involved in the strategic planning, particularly as it relates to budgeting and planning for future years. That's a very busy time for us right now that we're doing that. And we also look at other, for example, I have one client right now that's rebuilding their fundraising program, their whole department from the ground up. And we're running different numbers and scenarios for who should we have in place. What should the ROI be on the investment of fundraising? And also the same with HR, at what point do we need to hire an HR person? So constantly reevaluating strategic decisions that a business is going to make. For example, some of our clients are evaluating, should we go into government billing, particularly Medicaid? And if so, what does that look like from an administrative perspective? And is it worthwhile to pursue those types of funding sources or not? And then, of course, many of my clients, they just come from all different spaces with respect to understanding how the business of a nonprofit runs, because again, it really is a business. And many of my clients are very savvy and they understand the finances, particularly how they impact all of the areas of the business. And some just don't. Like I mentioned earlier, they come from more of a programmatic background. And because of that, we do a lot of kind of coaching and advisory services on, this is what we're looking at, this is what's on our radar, this is what you should be looking at. These are the things you should understand in the event you're asked by a funder or a board member or anyone, why this area is struggling. I don't like to be surprised as the CEO of my business. And I don't want our clients to be surprised or caught off guard in any way. So those are certainly things that we include just ongoing with the scope of work that we offer.
Well, and I think that that's a very interesting nuance that you just said, is that every time you're not really coming from a bookkeeper standpoint, you're coming from a CFO. And that's even more important.